guys, Roman Super Saiyan here, back again doing another gameplay analysis, this time of CP Taka. So I know a lot of people wanted me to try him out, and I've done it in the past where I kind of experimented a little bit here and there. But I think I found a solution to where I can actually enjoy CP Taka, and this is why I'm sharing it with you. Alright, so what we're doing is, I know CP Taka is really weak for farm early game. He doesn't have that basic attack damage that you would get from weapon power, and he's pretty heavily reliant on abilities. And early game, that's really traumatizing in terms of damage output. So what we did is we went ahead and got Adagio to help compensate for that lack of damage early game for farming, or just damage in general. What will happen is Nox will go ahead and buff me with the damage so I can go ahead and farm as fast as possible. That way we can get the shop, potentially shop before they can, giving us an advantage. Just a very slight advantage, not a dramatic advantage, because Taka is still fairly weak SCP regardless of the buff, but it's just a little bit better than it would normally be. We do try to do a little bit of damage here. We don't want to overstay our welcome, only because we know that Glaive has the potential to rotate down and help his team out, and having the Afterburn early game is pretty heavy in terms of presence, and we want to be careful of that. So at this point we're going to go ahead and disengage. I think Nox was trying to get the minions there, but I don't know if he got it or not. One thing I do want to note is Nox, this is Nox's like really first run trying to play Adagio in a competitive manner, rather than say like a private match. So he didn't know that if you heal and burn a minion or an enemy and your allies or yourself hit that target, you get energy. So you'll see for a little bit in the beginning of the game, he doesn't really sustain his energy like he should. Later on, I do tell him like, hey, you do realize that you can go ahead and keep your energy pool up by burning and letting me hit the targets, or you hitting it as well. And he's like, oh, didn't know that. He's like, I don't play Adagio, I'll play Catherine, Arden, Fortress at the very least. You know, anything else, not really. A lot of people don't play Adagio, and I think that he's really underestimated this meta. He's really strong. There's a really strong meta, which is Adagio with really any weapon power jungler is really strong, especially if Adagio goes a particular build, which I will go ahead and say I have shown from one of my videos. If you guys go to my recent Adagio support video, I actually do the build where it does a chunk of damage when you buff your ally jungler, his weapon power, with that damage buff. It does so much damage, and it's crazy. I think it might even be the new meta if people start discovering and start using it, but that's up to the community to go ahead and do that. I don't know if they will. You can see here, we're shredding them because of the fact that Adagio still does decent damage with the heal. He has that damage buff he gives me, and we just shred them because they have no way to handle that other than like potentially try to focus me. But early game, it's too hard. I'm too slippery, and that's what's really beneficial for this comp too. So now we're taking the backs. We have the opportunity. We don't want to miss out on our farm, but I'm not sure if the Catherine wants to get our backs or not. So at this point, we're just going to take as much farm as we can because we do not know if Catherine was able to get to our side. This way, at the very least, we could end up even in terms of farm, and not be behind again. So now I'm going to go ahead and start working towards a Shatter Glass. I'm going to have that heavy CP damage being done. I want to be able to do as much damage as I can. I will also get some cooldown acceleration as I go throughout the match to make it to where my abilities are up more often, so I can go ahead and stealth, use my A and my ults fairly often, because that is where the damage lies in CP Taka, especially the ult. But now we're going to go ahead and probably rotate to the top. We are a little skeptical of the lane. We want to go ahead and try to show some presence. Didn't expect them to be in the brush, to be honest. But now I'm going to try to just do what I can without trying to die. We are doing a lot of damage, surprisingly, but we don't quite get the two because they just barely got out of our way. I'm going to go ahead and try to poke to see if I can get over there, but it's a little bit too late, so now I'm going to go ahead and just take backs. What I was trying to do is, I knew both Glaive and Vox were low, so I wanted to see if I can get there in time to go ahead and use my A. To just do that little bit of damage and then get out. But they did have the flare there, or the scout trap, and that revealed me, and unfortunately they knew what was happening and they were able to get out before I even got there. So taking the backs is the next best option, because now we're really hurting Vox in his farm. If he has any chance to combat me, he needs to stay up and farm. But now I'm level 6, I have more farm than him, and I should be doing a lot more damage than him. I didn't get their front minions because I was seeing that Glaive was going to get hurt in that fight, so I wanted to get to him as soon as possible. I wanted to be sure that I can keep my allies alive. Again, now this is our time to go ahead and pounce. We're going to be doing a lot of damage here. I'm going to go ahead and just stealth to get out, which I almost immediately got out of it because I wanted to finish off the box. But one really good thing about this build too is the fact that once you get your clockwork, once you get your cooldown acceleration from, say, even Aftershock, what happens is that you can actually heal a chunk of your health using your stealth because it is CP ratio based. So the more CP you get, the more you heal from your stealth. And you can go in and out of that quite often, like I think it's like 5 or 6 seconds in between each stealth. And it's a chunk of health and sustainability in the fights. Because basically you go in, you do your ults, you do your A, maybe you do a few hits here and there, but then you get out. You stealth out, revive, or not revive, but replenish your health through your stealth, and then go back in. It's just, you know, wash and repeat. That's all you gotta do. And it's really strong, especially when you get that Broken Myth too and start getting your stacks. It's just like phenomenal. So luckily we were able to avoid the ultimate from Box. Dodger did get hit, but we are doing a lot of damage right now. Catherine is going to go down here by my A, I believe. There it is. And now we're going to go ahead and probably just go ahead and get some more farm here. Oh, looks like Glaive actually almost died there. My goodness, he was so close. Clutch heal from Nox, though. Again, Nox is, again, low on energy. He didn't know about the passive from Adagio. I just literally told him, hey, there's a comp I'm interested in. Let's try it out. And he's like, what am I playing? It's like, Adagio. He's like, oh, okay. So that's one reason why, if you notice, that he's always kind of low on energy in the beginning of the match. I think late game is when I finally tell him, it's like, dude, you do realize that you could do, you know, you can replenish your health, your energy through your own means. And he's like, oh, okay. Didn't know that. But yeah, so now we're just gonna go ahead and get our backs, our second regen, and then go to backs. There's no point in trying to invade right now because they're probably full health. And even though we may or may not be able to take them out, we want to play it safe. You don't want to be aggressive 24/7. You want to play safe and smart. You engage when you think you can go ahead and be fully confident that you're going to be able to take them out and make it an effective engagement rather than be... I don't know why Nox pinged me there. I was trying to figure out why. Oh, that's what it was. I lost my call. I was on Skype. We were actually Skyping each other, and I lost the call for whatever reason. So I was like really trying to get it back. I think at this point I was already back though. We do get the Vox. We're not going to get much more because they're too close to the turret, so we don't really want to engage on this. I'm going to go ahead and probably just disengage and head to the backs is what I would think I would be doing right now. Yeah, so I'm heading to backs because I want to go ahead and get their farm. Again, taking farm away from Vox, keeping them the entire match low on farm. That way he cannot contest me in any fashion unless like I just flat out mess up. So we are definitely getting pretty fed here. I'm pretty happy about it. And we take out Catherine. Glaive gets him. I'm gonna go ahead and stealth out. It's too risky for me to stay, so I'm gonna go ahead and use my stealth to heal, which is again a chunk of health, to be honest. Especially since like late game you can use it so often. It's just the sustainability is by far one of the greatest perks to this particular build, opposed to say weapon power, because weapon power is more like you have the ability to go in, do some hits, and get out. But the sustainability isn't as great. The heals are a CP ratio, so therefore if you get weapon power, it stays the same basically throughout the levels. It is only incrementally increases rather than exponentially through the CP base as well. So right now we're debating whether or not we should get the gold mine. I actually see that they're in the center, so we're not going to go ahead and engage on it. We don't want to engage on the minion mine. We want to engage when, one, they're down teammates, or two, we just saw them rotate to their backs. And generally, if you can burst fast enough, you can get the gold mine as they're rotating to their backs, and they don't even know what's happening, and that's a great time to do it. But they were in the center, so we don't really want to engage on top of the gold mine because it's going to be potentially against us in terms of if Goldmine hits us as a 4v3. There is Glaive. He does do an afterburn. He does get away. That was really good on him. I really wanted to get him. All I had to do was an ult and an A, but he afterburned immediately, and I couldn't even get my A off. So again, we're gonna go ahead and get backs. We don't really care to get the kills necessarily. What we care about is getting the backs. Unfortunately, I am getting hurt quite a bit. So now I saw an opportunity. I was over the wall, but I still had vision because of Nox Vox. And I saw Vox, and I know my burst is crazy because of CP. So I went ahead and decided that, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and die. But I'm gonna go ahead and get Vox. Although I didn't expect Glaive to be there after that situation. And that's why I died. I do get my Shatter Glass, I get my Clockwork, and now I'm working towards probably a Broken Myth or an Aftershock. I'm not sure which one I got second, or third I would say. It's Shatter Glass, Clockwork, I get defense along the way, but don't really finish it. And then I get like an Aftershock or a Broken Myth, depending on the situation. If they're going pretty heavy in health, getting an Aftershock might be, you know, better potentially. But I think all around, the Broken Myth is probably the best choice because it does do the 30%, 36% increased CP damage once you reach full stacks of 6. So much damage though, look at that. Oh my god. I just went in, did my A and my ult, and he's like almost dead, and I took barely any damage. So now we're gonna go ahead and get our farm. We should be taking Goldmine the moment we take one person down. If we don't, it's a lot of gold we're missing out on because throughout the entire game, once it hits, you know, the mark at which the Goldmine spawns, that's 300 gold that you can potentially get each time it reaches its maximum potential of gold farm. And if you're not getting it, then that's just gold wasted. So you really want to get it as soon as possible, but we just really haven't had a situation where we could get it safely without just dying and then turn the game around into the favor of the enemy. So that's the biggest reason why we haven't grabbed it yet. So it looks like I am going the Broken Myth. I get the Piercing Shard, so obviously it's the Broken Myth. I want just straight burst, like over a CP burst, not necessarily the effects of Aftershock burst. So yeah, that's the big thing we're doing right now, is going for that straight damage. I can almost take out Vox with just 2 abilities, so if I can go a Broken Myth, I can probably do it at full stacks with just 2 abilities. Look at that damage. And I'm gonna go ahead and bounce out. I get a heal from Adagio. I also get my stealth heal. And I'm almost back to full health. It's crazy. I do get... Oh! And Glaive saves my butt there, too. He punched me out of the turret range. If he hadn't done that, I probably would have died, to be honest. And now I'm going to go ahead and get the Glaive. Oh, God. And nice stealth. I am seen because of the scout trap on the turret, but everything seems to be good. And then we go ahead and pick up Catherine and get the ace. Not too shabby. Catherine should have stayed at the turret. When you're down 2 teammates and your turret is being hit by enemies, you need to stick at turret as long as you can until you know pretty much if you stay any longer, you're gonna die once they pick up the turret. You want to stay as much as humanly possible because saving that turret can mean a lot of gold prevented from being given to the enemy team and just getting them even stronger. You don't want to just leave your turret a 1v3. I see it time and time again. People realize that their turrets are getting attacked or going to get attacked soon because everybody in the enemy team is in lane. Well, what they do is that, okay, they're gonna leave, get minion mine, or they're gonna leave and get whatever farm. If you see they're heading towards a turret, stick by your turret. Or like if you are at the turret, don't leave your teammates behind and try to face check brushes when you know that they're potentially in the brush. I've seen that time and time again as well, where people face check brushes when you know that they're there. And even if you're the tank, it's not necessarily always the smartest thing to do. Alright, so this is where I probably go for Vox, I believe. Yeah. And there we go. I barely reach him. I am going to die by the turret, though. Catherine stunned me really good right there. But I did take out Vox and allowing my teammates to push turret even further, potentially. But it looks like they're not going to. They're going to go the safe route and just check for farm. And not really push that turret because there is Catherine there. And there's not going to be a really effective push if they just stick around. the enemy will spawn and then they'll get themselves caught out and just die. So they're just gonna get the farm and get out. Again, you always want to take farm when you can. Don't just leave it. If you have an opportunity where you are in the lead, they are dead or they're at their base, take the farm, because that just puts their team even further behind. I've never seen a game where high elo doesn't do that. So if you want to play at a high elo level, do that. If you have the opportunity, take farm. It's the biggest thing you can do. And as a person who plays on high elo, it's definitely the most annoying thing to have happen to you, because you know that if you're already behind, that means that they're probably going to have a lot heavier presence in jungle and can just force you out and take your farm, and it just puts you further and further behind for a very, very long time. And it really just ends up pushing their game even closer to an end because the enemy team can't catch up. So long as you don't make like really bad mistakes and realize that, you know, maybe you're overextending and then you die and you give them a bunch of gold that way. But we do get Glaive again, using my ult. I think Catherine went ahead and played safe and backed out. Nox is getting out because he's taking turret shots. Now again, we're just taking farm. Same routine. We push him to turret. We can't take turret, so we'll take farm. We have the opportunity, so we'll take it. At this point, we can probably even take a minion mine. But I think we were just so obsessed with getting kills that we decided, hey, maybe we shouldn't get the minion mine because we're obviously being greedy here. I think it would have been a better choice to just get minion mine. Just get theirs, you get that 200 gold, plus it kind of forces them to take it back. Then that gives your laner even more gold. Because if they don't take it back, that means that there's constant heavier lane pressure than their lane is pushing, and therefore we have a better opportunity to take out turrets, and they know that, and therefore they have to take that minion mine back. Unless they feel like their laner can handle it, but sometimes they can't. Especially when they're behind. So our turret is still just barely alive. It still has a little under half health. I'm 10-2-4, not too bad. I'm doing quite well. It's 81. I don't know, 81 farm. I don't know what the enemy jungler's farm is right now, but it's probably half of what I have. We've taken jungle from their side so many times that it's probably going to be extremely difficult for them to even do anything here in terms of just outpowering us. They can definitely play smarter than us, but so far it looks like the sheer power of our team is far greater than theirs, and it's going to go ahead and end up in our favor. Oh, and this is where I just barely get out. Freaking ace. I took a huge risk right there. Like, even as I was watching it, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'd die here because it looks like I was gonna die. But then, you know, I played this game like a couple days ago, and so now I'm voicing over it, so I kind of forgot about it. But I did manage to take out Glaive, and it did give me the ace, and that just saved my butt. And I would say it wasn't planned, it was just I was greedy, and it happened to be in my favor. I would say if you're going to dive, have a reason to dive rather than just kill. If you can get the kill for an ace, then that's good, but you want to check and make sure you're going to get the ace. I didn't do that, even though it did end up being a good thing. It may have not, more than likely. I just got really lucky. So again, if you're gonna do something, make sure you have a reason to do it. Just don't do it because you're getting greedy. That's the biggest thing that happens, is that you are getting ahead, you get a little bit like confident, a little overconfident, and you start doing plays which you think are phenomenal plays, and you start doing it a little too much, and then you start getting yourself out of position, you start getting yourselves in bad situations, and you choke. And therefore they come back, especially with this new update, they get the increase in gold bounties when they kill a enemy teammate, when their team is the winning team. They get a chunk of gold for that, and it can actually turn the game around really fast if you're not careful. So now we go ahead and get the Vox. Again, all Adagio does is he throws out heals and buffs to either me or Glaive, and the damage is just surreal. Like, it's so much damage. It's more effective on Vox personally, only because of the fact that Vox does have a buff when you overdrive his A to increase his weapon power by, like, I think 30% or something like that. So that kind of synergizes well with the buff from Adagio too, on top of getting crit from Vox. And Vox is also a highly mobile hero as well. But that will do it right here. That's the Kraken. That's the win. We're going to go ahead and try to take out Catherine, but we're probably not going to do it. So 13-2-5, 82 farm. Not too bad. Again, the theory was Taka is great for late game, but early game is weak, so we went Adagio to kind of give me that boost that I needed in terms of damage. You can see here, I was a little bit of a feeder. I died 2 times. I played with Ben Smith and Noxbox. Ben Smith is SA, Noxbox is Hotness Silver, and myself on this account was SA Bronze. I'm now POA on my main account, but I was SA Bronze on this account. And the enemy team, I don't really know any of them except for Big Sean T. I think he's a pretty high elo player, but probably it was all solo queue on their team. But all in all, it was a fun match. I hope you guys enjoyed the CP Taka. Definitely try it out, especially with the Adagio, and I'll see you guys next time. Later!